The Devils have found their secret weapon. An offseason move, much needed internal help. He definitely has a spot where he fits specifically. Implications here, let's talk. Welcome, Devil fans. Glad you're here today. Want to stick around, hit the subscribe button. The season is quickly approaching. First preseason game today, Devils were in action. A 5-2 loss to the New York Rangers. You know, that is what preseason is for. Going out and, fixing some stuff and seeing what this lineup is going to look like. And I know during the offseason, we all had pictures in our head. We all had an idea of what we wanted this lineup to look like. Some of us wanted a top six winger. Some of us looked third line center. Some of us wondered what was going to happen in net. Well, one thing that we were wondering, since I think you could even go back to last deadline, when guys like Jack Hughes went on the lineup, Dougie Hamilton, and maybe scoring was going to be a little bit tougher. They're going to have to find different ways. They're going to have to be a little bit more creative. And one thing where the Devils looked to maybe get a little bit more creative than other teams was finding out how to bring a player over who at that point wasn't even in the NHL. And in the offseason, they did finally do that. Arseni Gritsyuk, they brought him over in the offseason. And Jake Allen had a little bit of thoughts on how Arseni Gritsyuk has fit in with the team so far. Here's a quote. "He's got an elite shot. I think he really does. Probably one of the best in our group." Well, that was on full display today. Arseni Gritsyuk scored his first power play goal as a New Jersey Devil. And it was a nice one. Pretty good shot. Look, this should come as no surprise. You go look at Arseni Gritsyuk's numbers over in the KHL. 2 years ago, second on the team in scoring, followed it up with basically the same production. 19 goals the year before, got an extra game, 17, could have hit it, could have passed it with a hat trick. I guess we'll never know. But this is a player who, he can score. Like Jake Allen said, this guy does have an NHL shot. I mean, we see players come over here and maybe they aren't able to completely perfect and go, translate their game to the NHL level. But there is one thing, they do have an NHL shot. I know Alexander Holtz didn't work out in New Jersey. I don't think there's any question that the guy had an NHL shot. He had one of the best shots on the team. Didn't work out. The other stuff didn't completely come quite into play and wasn't able to, stay in with the Devils and, probably looking to find a role with the Golden Knights. But that was a player who had an NHL shot. Arseni Gritsyuk, similar situation, has an NHL shot. Now, do I think he's an NHL player? Do I think he has intangibles to get himself into the league and, not maybe be an Alexander Holtz situation? Yes, I'm just comparing the fact that there are players in other leagues who have a shot that can translate right to the NHL level. It's already there. Arseni Gritsyuk is one of them. And what I really like about Arseni Gritsyuk is you saw where he scored that shot. And if you look back at when he played in the KHL, and how he scored his goals, he was always in position where, their goals are going to go in. Getting to the scoring areas, finding ways to be there, and you can go, everyone scores in front of the net. Well, yeah, but when you're scoring at the rate that he's scoring, usually they maybe are a little bit more defensive, play a little bit harder toward you. No, he still found ways to score. 19 goals, 17 goals, was a good player in the KHL, found a way to create, found a way to get offense. And that's what this New Jersey Devil team's going to need. Because, like I said in a video earlier, when you go to the offseason moves and what Tom Fitzgerald did this offseason, he went, okay, we're going to build our depth again. It's something that we need to continue to improve on. Top six, though, we finished 20th in the NHL in scoring with a top 3 power play. Our depth will figure it out. Well, you better hope you figure it out internally with moves like Arseni Gritsyuk, cheap moves, value moves. Because the cap space that the Devils have right now, it doesn't look great. And it's not going to get any better after a Luke Hughes contract that will be signed eventually gets signed. It's not going to look any much better. He's going to sign probably around the $9 million mark. You just have to come to terms with that. Okay, I have no problem giving Luke Hughes $9 million. I think he's a number one defenseman or a future number one defenseman in the NHL. I think he's going to be much closer to a point per game player if he gets the power play time. Defense translating in the correct direction, but this league is going offensive defenseman. I think that, $9 million is going to work out. But when you have a player like Gritsyuk, who, as you can see his contract right there, under $1 million, you didn't do a ton of offensive moves to fix your top six. This is a player who you're kind of, you're Tom Fitzgerald and Sheldon Keefe. You're going, well, this is a guy who's going to have to work. And he's going to have to work in your top six. Because you look at that top six right now. I mean, I know. Look, I'm taking it out of Puckpedia. It's not going to be exactly correct. I looked at Donov at the top line. Love the move. He's not going to be a top line player. That's going to be more so for a spot like an Arseni Gritsyuk. Arseni Gritsyuk is expected to come here and play in the top six. When you get a player, a young player, and you want them to excel and exceed at the NHL level, who has skill, you go and let them put their skill on display. I mean, we don't got to look to this guy being a full 200-foot player right off the bat. No, we need to go and see his skill. We need him to score. Because he's someone, like Jake Allen said, one of the best shots on the team. He's young. We know he's going to make mistakes. That's okay. Just kind of live with it. Accept it. Accept that he's going to make some mistakes. So if he's going to make those mistakes, go put him in a position where his mistakes are a little bit more okay. You know, a little bit more we can do with that. We can do with it if he's going to go score. You know, it's kind of how Jack Hughes learned in the NHL. You saw Jack Hughes' first year, some turnovers, kind of maybe didn't make the same type of plays that he made. Year two, starts making some more of those plays. And oh, wow, he figures out there are some things he can get away with. And he can get away with it that more than, 99% of the league. And that's how you get those fancy, nice goals from Jack Hughes. How he's able to set up. I mean, that's what you have to do with these young, talented, skilled offensive players. They have to be able to make mistakes. Learn that they're going to make mistakes. Learn what they can get away with and what they can't get away with. That's the type of role Arseni Gritsyuk should be in. Somebody who you know is skilled. Somebody who can score. Help you on the power play as we saw today. Someone who's going to provide that offense. That's why he's here. Okay, he's not here to be a 200-foot player. Now, I know, it's a coach's dream. Having Nico Hischier, having Alexander Barkov, a guy who can play both sides of the ice. Well, they're not all made like that. And some of them are made there just to score. Like, I mean, look at it, Andrei Kuzmenko, somebody who I really wanted in the offseason. I mean, if you give that guy, just a little bit more free will, he's a 70-point player. And I think we saw that in his time in Vancouver. That guy can score. That guy's good. That guy's good offensively. Arseni Gritsyuk, maybe not the most defensive player, but somebody who can help you score and, produce offense for a team that finished 20th in the NHL in terms of goal scoring with a top 3 power play. Well, yeah. And, I mean, he's getting paid less than $1 million. You look to value. If you can get a 25 goal scorer for under $1 million, I mean, that's a bargain. That's a bargain and a half. That's like buying Bitcoin back in 2010. You get a player who can score 25 goals under $1 million. Yeah, you put him in position to score those 25 goals. You put him in position to succeed. Somebody who's going to learn that, some mistakes are going to happen, and that's okay. Look, everyone's going to make mistakes. It's not going to be a perfect NHL season. You're not looking for the perfect player. What you are looking for is goal scoring. Arseni Gritsyuk can score goals. That's where he needs to play. He needs to be in the top 6. He needs to be someone who gets some power play time. You have to let him go in positions where he's going to score. And if you're not going to do that, if that's not the decision that you want to make, well, then you should have figured it out in the offseason to go get a top 6 winger. Somebody you felt more comfortable with. I feel comfortable with Arseni Gritsyuk. Let me know down in the comments, how do you feel about Arseni Gritsyuk? You know what? Drop a stat prediction down in the comments. Let me know. 82 games. Let's just call it 82 games. So it's got to be 82 games. 82 games. How many goals you score? How many assists, points? And if you want to throw some other stats out there, go ahead. There's no limit. So go throw that in the comments. Let me know down below. Hope you hit the subscribe button. Preseason back underway and regular season around really soon. So hit the subscribe button and I'll see you guys all really soon.